Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope you're all doing well today. Today's the third day on some antibiotics, and I'm feeling a little better. I also have some intriguing, yet terrifying, but always amazing Dogman encounters to share with you. Before we get into these encounters, though, a couple links I'd like to share. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. Those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fanfiction, and scary voice acting. Stories that really don't fit on this channel. Now, if that's anything you're into, follow that link and give those stories a listen. You may just enjoy what you hear. I also started a GoFundMe page a while back to help raise some money for nerve decompression surgery I'll be having December 3rd. I have severe neuropathy, and the medicine I'm on is affecting my kidney and liver. And I have no immune system, so that's not really good for me. Now, if that's anything that you're interested in helping with, that link is in the description below as well. I'd like to thank everybody who has generously donated to that GoFundMe page. Thank you all, family. I'd like to thank everybody who has shouted out and sent well wishes and prayers. Thank you all, family, for that. Now I've taken enough of your time. Let's get on with these terrifying Dogman encounters. Shall we? Today's first Dogman encounter. Waylon was in the act of securing a game camera to a tree when a Dogman stepped in behind him and slammed his head and body into that tree. Cracking his head and fracturing some vertebrae, he fell to the ground and scrambled, dazed, to the backside of the tree, fumbling for his firearm. His black lab had been trailing him up the easement and shot into the clearing. Her name is Bella, and she was the sweetest, funniest labs. One of those dogs that was always smiling. According to him, the creature turned to face the new threat, and he was able to unholster. But he didn't have a round chambered. As he struggled to stay conscious and charge his weapon, Bella did her best to keep the monster distracted and lead it away from her master, running in quick circles and ducking in for attempted bites. On one of those fence, she misjudged and got rolled violently into the scrub by a swipe from the Dogman, scratching her neck and shoulder badly. At this point, he said the creature turned and came for him on two legs. He fired a couple times at point-blank range in a panic and foggy-headed. The Dogman yowled and grabbed its hand, turned and ran off, but Bella was back in the fight and coming hard toward both of them. He said the creature leapt over this berry scrub that almost surrounded the clearing on two legs and ran off howling with the dog in pursuit. As the witness did his best to collect himself, his wife, who was at the trailhead a half a mile away and heard the shots, finally came running up the trail. She was able to help him walk back to their vehicle where Bella had doubled back. Bella, subsequently, is now almost completely psychotic. She must always be on a leash or a chain now since that day. She is highly aggressive towards anyone outside of the family and will pretty much try and tear you to pieces. But she saved her owner's life that day, there's no doubt. Today's second Dogman encounter. It was back in the winter of 1984. My parents and I were going to my grandparents' house for Christmas. Just to describe the area, my grandparents live back in the woods in a small town of Turkey, North Carolina. Now their closest neighbor to them is a mile away, so they're pretty isolated. Well, when we get there, they start telling my dad about a bobcat that's been killing their animals. First, they're cats, and now every day they have one or two chickens missing. They look at me and tell me not to play in the woods so I don't get attacked by this bobcat. So we're there for 2 days, and I decide I want to play in the yard. I'm out there maybe an hour, and I start feeling like something in the woods is watching me. I run into the house to tell the grown-ups about it. When I tell them, Grandpa goes in and grabs 2 shotguns and hands one to my dad. As they walk out, I hear Grandpa say, "Finally, gonna get that SOB. After a few minutes, I hear the guns being fired over and over again, then silence. Dad and Grandpa run in the house, pale as ghosts. Grandpa tells us to pack our things as he pulls Grandma aside. He runs to their room and a couple minutes later comes out with bags of clothes for her and Grandpa. After both vehicles were loaded, we haul ass out of there with my grandparents right behind us. We go back to my house and my grandparents stay with us. Not long after this, they sold their house and moved to my town. No one ever talked about what happened until last year when I got my dad to tell me. He told me that they were searching for the bobcat when they heard a growl, not a bobcat's growl, but more like a deep canine growl. Thinking it was a wild dog, they moved back some. Then this giant dog stood up where they could see it. Dad told me it stood on 2 legs like a man, but this thing was about 8 feet tall. I fear him and Grandpa unloaded everything they had into this thing and it just ran off. The rest of what happened I already knew. I know now why my grandparents moved and sold their house. Today's third encounter comes to us from Selburne County, Arkansas. A 30-year-old dental worker had an encounter with an unusual being on June 15th. As I was driving home, I had to stop and pull over to make a call. She states about the daylight encounter. I was talking on the phone when it seemed something dark was moving in the woods in the corner of my eye on my right. The woman says she had to look at the creature a few times because it didn't move at first. I couldn't tell until it moved. It moved stealthily, on 2 legs, right by the edge of the woods. I think it was trying to cross the road but stopped when it saw me. She described the creature as dark brown, grayish, wolf-like creature with a few bear features. It was aged a bit and seemed to know its surroundings. Kind of bear to wolf-like, but standing up, walking. It didn't seem to be afraid. It just moved away slowly like it was wanting something or searching. I think my vehicle must have spooked it because it seemed to want to cross the road but couldn't. It was very creepy, and so I just pulled back out on the highway and left and kept driving until I got myself under control. The sighting reportedly lasted about 3 minutes, but the eyewitness said she was unable to get a photograph or a video. In the meantime, I'm trying to take a video of this thing, and my phone kept exiting in and out of picture mode. It seemed everything was working against me not to film anything. She says she's heard about strange wolf-like creatures before, but that she never expected to actually see one. All I know is it's a big world and things can be in those woods, and you would not know it until it's too late or you're dead not to talk about it, and that's it. It was not normal to see what I saw, she states. Today's fourth and final encounter. Eau Claire, Wisconsin. A man driving through Wisconsin spotted an unidentified animal he says looked like a 2-legged wolf. David, a Canadian businessman, was driving along Interstate 94 at night on October 1st when he came upon the alleged creature. I was hoping to make it to the casino in the Dells to stay there, he states. As I drove along, I noticed a figure moving towards the right side of the road. He describes it as black, 6 to 7 feet tall, and fuzzy and shaggy in appearance. It was standing upright, slightly leaned forward. He added that he could not figure out the head or upper limbs because it was a quick glance. But there was one thing about the animal that really captured his attention. Its legs, they were slender and backwards from that of a human. They were dog-like in anatomy, with long sloped canyon bones. The canyons were sloped, nearly 45 degrees and very long, about 3 feet. The strange biped, he says, walked with a very peculiar gait. It was sort of bobbing up and down, but athletic. He then recalls the figure took about 3 steps and was out of sight. I didn't see it cross in front of me, as when it came into view was just as it came into my headlight range. It was not running or moving with haste, just bobbing along in a brisk walk. I will never forget that strange gait and the way the legs looked. It looked like they could run very fast if it had to or if it wanted to. The Canadian businessman says he's sure it was not a human or an animal he had ever seen before. Not a deer, bear, cow, elk, horse, or any other animal. The closest animal comparison he could make would be a black panther with a shaggier coat, slender, walking upright and with longer legs, or like some sort of hairy centaur. And David, who claims he has always thought Bigfoot and other cryptids were hoaxes, says skepticism has quickly dissipated and now believes he could have seen a Dogman. I'm from Ontario and have never been to Wisconsin before in my life. I've never heard of a Dogman or anything of that sort. Wow, guys, what did I tell you? 4 amazing encounters. I really feel bad for Bella. That poor dog. It just goes to show that even animals get PTSD after seeing cryptids. It's just not humans. Waylon was a lucky man that he had his dog there that day. I can tell you that. I don't think he would have been alive. Just an amazing story. Heart-wrenching, actually. I feel terrible for that dog. Story or encounter, too, was definitely crazy. You think your whole life that your grandparents moved for one reason, and it was because of a Dogman, and it was not a bobcat that was out in those woods. I wonder if they think about how close they were to that Dogman coming out of those woods that day. The third encounter, that lady just... You don't realize how lucky you are. I mean, it's obvious that the Dogman was startled a little at the car pulling over. You know, maybe it just didn't want to draw attention to it because it could have easily ran across the road or jumped across her car and been out of sight. Just crazy. Like David's encounter. I mean, that one didn't hesitate. He's just gone, you know? Choom, gone. I really liked his description of the gait and just bobbing along in a brisk walk. You know, it's just, they don't care because they know that they are the alpha predator. You know, it's just, they're very, very intelligent creatures. Just 4 amazing encounters. Just, the first one is just really got me, you know. Wow, I feel so bad for that dog. Its disposition went from one to the other, you know. It's sad. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for all of the support. Thank you for listening. And thank you for all the thumbs up you guys are giving me, for the comments. My YouTube channel is blowing up. It makes me feel good. Every day I look at my analytics and I'm like, oh, I got some more subscribers. And to be honest, these last couple of days when I didn't feel good, I would lay there and I'd just look at my analytics and I was like, wow, man, my channel's growing. And I'm like, I don't want to record tonight. And that's why I put something out last night. It was complete garbage. I'm sorry. I sounded like an absolute ass. But I feel like I have to get something out so you guys have some sort of entertainment. And I know there's other channels to listen to. But they're not Jeffrey Nadolny, you know? I mean, nobody's me. Anyway, thanks guys for everything you guys have done. Have a great day and farewell.